So I'm here today at what is called the Cascade Locks Park. And the Locks Park was actually developed later when the city was going to preserve it, and it's from locks 10 to 16 here in Akron. And I'm at one of those locks right now. And along the canal, the trip through 15 locks is the steepest part of the canal, traveling uphill. And its water source was a lake, and we'll be hearing more about that. So here at Lock 15, it was called the Jewel of the Canal because it had another stop, a rest stop, if you will, for the people traveling on the canal. And traveling on the canal would take 8 hours to get from Cleveland to Akron because of the amount of locks that it would have to go through. Yep.
Did you catch anything interesting so far?
I've actually been going around to all the canals this summer that we can get to around here. Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Just a thing I decided to do this summer.
Where all have you been?
Been to Lock 28. What's the one with the mill nearby? It's a little bit north.
Okay.
It's the one that they used to actually demonstrate with.
Okay, yeah.
I can't remember what lock number. That was a good one. I live right by Lock 33, and I've been, let me see, Deep Lock Quarry, and
So 33 is what, your Brooksville area?
that's like Bath.
Oh, Bath.
That's close to the museum up there.
Yeah. That one's, no water's running through that one. It's just a dry one, and it's right on the towpath, and not as interesting as the ones with the water running through them still.
Pancake lock.
What?
The pancake lock.
Yeah.
Did you go this way?
No, I'm gonna check that out.
Because there's remnants of rocks up there, and one you walk right through. But you said you lived in the peninsula.
Yeah.
Did you see this chart in here?
No.
And you said you live right on there?
Yeah.
And then this is Peninsula in Deep Lock right here. And it's, it's about a mile between those two.
Right.
And then when you get over here, it's just one right after another. We're here at 15. And then right across North Street is 14 and 13. And they're the closest blocks in the whole system. They're about 100 feet apart, 100 yards.
Oh, wow. And that's near here, right?
That's just right across the street.
Oh, cool.
Let me show you over here. They said it took about 8 hours to navigate those little tiny.
When you would come through?
Yeah, it took all day to get from Cleveland to here, but 8 hours of it was those little tiny steps right there, one right after.
It's amazing because Cleveland is downhill from us, and the Cuyahoga River starts near Cleveland and actually travels uphill to Akron,
And then it turns around.
and then turns around back to Lake Erie.
And that's something.
And it's always perplexed me
Well, I don't understand
that it has its own propulsion uphill.
Now this right here is the Little Cuyahoga, and it meets the Cuyahoga about 2.5 miles down at Memorial. Well, do you know where Memorial Parkway Trailhead is?
Yeah.
And then if you go on down, and then there's that deck with there's a deck, and then
Oh, yeah.
right there's where they meet the two rivers, the Little Cuyahoga.
Okay.
And then the next trailhead's Big Bend. But here's where we are. And then 13 and 14, this would be like where North Street is right here. And then 14 and 13. This was really straight that way, but the artist took time. He wanted to get more in here.
Oh, I see.
It's straight.
Yeah, so this is Market Street up here. So this is 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, and 10 is right. So they were all right down that way. And let's see what else. And so on the other side of the street, right here on the other side there, this is where the mill was, and there's an outline in stone of the footprint of the mill. But there's a great big wheel, that rusty
That was
the mill wheel for the Shimmer Canal.
Oh, okay. And that's right over there, right? You gotta walk up the hill a little bit.
No, you
quick
just have to follow this trail, this walkway
see
here,
it just about
and then when you cross the street, you'll see it
Okay.
right there.
And this is where Quaker State started, Quaker Oats started.
That's where it started.
That's where it started. Then in the 1880s, it burnt down, and they moved it downtown to Quaker Square. This is my favorite part. 2 captains said we got to speak.
Yeah, it started. Yeah, it's amazing, just the canal in general, when you think about the feat that it would have been during those times. They didn't have power tools.
They didn't even have dynamite.
They didn't have, so all this was done by
Hand.
which just blows my mind.
The canal basically was 42 feet wide. It was just not wide enough to get 2 boats across.
Just the engineering involved, those locks had to be perfect.
Yeah, there's only 6 inches aside for a boat to pull through.
Right. So it wasn't just, throw it together.
No,
It was like a very,
The Howell House over on Exchange Street, he was one of the engineers that did all this.
okay. And it was controversial. There was some people who were
They set against it.
set against it from what I've been learning,
Oh, yeah.
which is just interesting. Maybe they wanted to keep things how they were and not have the commerce come through. And
Well, there's a lot of people didn't want to see the great expansion, because they would have to work as that.
right,
Like getting stuff to the East Coast before this, it took 6 to 8 weeks.
right.
And it cost us $110 a ton. And then after the canal, it was 6 to 8 days for $5 a ton. And then Akron went from 25,000 to 80,000 in 50 years. And that's where it all come in. And industry moved in. That's when the Goodrich and Firestone and Goodyear all started there. Like Goodyear was making solid rubber tires for bicycles before he made tires for cars.
Oh, okay.
They were making solid rubber, and then he accidentally dropped some rubber compound on the stove and figured out how to vulcanize rubber.
Happy accident.
Happy accident. Exactly.
So you've been in Peninsula at that lock there,
Just one night.
29, and they,
Yeah,
that's because he is fascinated by the marks that the guys that
Yes, oh,
worked in it.
yeah.
right? And then have you seen a picture of the aqueduct? If you're on the top part of that, there's a photograph of the aqueduct going
Yeah.
across the river.
and not all of them had that, right?
That was the only one.
That was atypical, right?
But to take a boat across the aqueduct, over a river.
Yeah.
It's just fascinating to me.
You had to call up the river going through there, but the water supply for the canal was out of Summit Lake,
Have you been to Summit Lake?
Not in a while.
about 3 miles
They
away.
put a new, this is a picture of the old walkway across the lake. The mules would pull the boats, the mules would walk on that. They built a new walkway over there. But one of the fascinating pictures to me is, do you have your phone? Because, do you have that picture on there?
Yeah.
It's the mules, they would put these strips of screen or
Fly
cloth or
pictures.
something to try to keep the bugs off of them. They got a beautiful, I took a picture of it.
Yeah, the poor things, because they wouldn't be moving fast.
No,
And,
they could only
They
go
only go 4 miles.
4 miles an hour just as fast as they were allowed to go.
That was speed limit.
They got tickets if they went fast.
really?
If they could catch them.
Really?
But we were in Canal Fulton, and the young man told us that that's, the speed limit was 4. And the captains on the boats would have all these tricks to try to not get caught. Like they would put a false name on their boat. People knew when they had, what time they had passed through one place to another. They tried to
They,
fool them.
they could estimate
Yeah.
that it should have taken this long.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, can you see that? It just fascinates me
Oh, that's,
That's how the mules would rest, so the flies.
to keep the flies off.
wow, that would
Only when I
be a sight. Yeah, I never knew that.
Oh, yeah.
Have you been up to the park in Cleveland? There's a Canal Park, and there's a nice museum up there, and then the...
Yes, that's the last one I went to. I went to it last Saturday.
Oh, was that the one, okay, the one with, they had part of a canal boat, and then there was a painting of the rear ends of 2 mules.
Yeah.
I loved that.
And the museum is like amazing.
It
It is very nice.
And the picture, they had a cardboard Irishman digging.
That's how my driveway.
What's, on your driveway, what'd you...
See the frost?
Yeah.
What's on it, Lisa?
No, I love that.
That is jet streams.
Yeah.
I walked out there, what? Almost sent the kitchen having a puzzle made out of it.
Yeah, that's
Boy, you'll never get it together.
a sign from God.
If you have time today to go across the street, you'll like it.
So, and that's 15 and
That'd
13.
be
Yeah, 14 and
13.
13, and they're in good shape, and they both have water in them, just like.
Oh, yeah, I'm gonna go check that out.
Yeah, just like,
It's amazing, in 2 miles you gotta go through 20 blocks.
What is the actual elevation? How hot?
Elevation 968 and 573.
And this is above sea level, right?
Right.
Once they get up there.
so 400, it's approximately 400
I just, yeah.
higher here in Cleveland.
Wow.
573.
And all the majority of it, the last 2 miles coming in there.
And this is you said the little Cuyahoga.
Right here.
That is a little Cuyahoga.
So most of the canal was,
No, that was the water supply for the industry. The little Cuyahoga.
the little Cuyahoga was for the canal.
No, that was Summit Lake is the water supply to the canal.
Up at the top
Oh,
there,
oh.
something like.
Because it sits right here. and it flows north and south.
Okay, okay.
And it's 309 miles now.
Is Summit Lake natural?
It's a glacier lake fed by underground springs.
So it's a constant.
Yeah, and it's about
It's a watershed.
yeah, it's 85 to 90 feet deep. It used to be the world's largest swimming pool right there. It changed water every 3 days.
It did. So that much water.
Naturally, because they had it flowing in and out.
That's interesting. So
Firestone supplied their factory with cooling water for presses and stuff for the fires out of that lake. And if you go there, and they have a nice little museum there, and that was the pump house for the Firestone pumps to pump the water there.
you said it was the world's largest swimming pool?
This was back in the 50s.
Literally?
Literally.
It was a man-made swimming
It was a
pool.
man-made, it was something like 3.5 million gallons.
Not there anymore. There used to be.
And then there used to be a park there, Summit Lake Park, that had all kind of amusement rides and everything, and it closed up in the early 60s.
Okay. I feel like I remember hearing stories about that. I lived with my grandparents for a number of years of my life when I was younger, and as you were saying that, I think I've heard them talking about, when we used to go to Summit Lake Park, and
It was just like Chippewa. It's gone, but they're trying to open it back up.
Chippewa?
Yeah, Chippewa Lake Park. They closed up.
SeaWorld, where's that one by Java Lake?
That was SeaWorld.
SeaWorld, and Java Lake was an amusement park, they weren't connected.
No.
Java Lake was right from SeaWorld. Now they're both gone.
Yep.
so Summit Lake
It's
is what supplies the water for the entire canal,
Yeah,
both directions.
yeah, it's only 4 feet deep.
The lake is only 4 feet
No,
deep. The canal.
is 4 feet deep. But you can haul 80 tons on it. And straight bottom, because they're flat bottom boats. And one thing I always thought was the captain of the boat had to fight going into the side of the canal because of the mules being towing on the boat, pulling the boat. He would always want to go to the bank, and he had to fight to keep it in. Something people don't know.
Yeah, I never knew that, yeah.
Well, the mule skinner are the young kids, usually young teenagers that rode or walked the mules on the towpath at 4 miles an hour. They usually got paid at the end of the season when the snow and the ice was going to come, but usually the captain cheated them out of it. Oh, yeah. And they were snake charmers and everything I wanted. It was and to pay for a worker from sun up to sundown was a quarter a day and a jigger of whiskey. Now, whiskey was not just for pleasure. This was for medicinal purposes.
Right.
We were not in civilized land at this time.
Right. Yeah, that'd be for pain.
It probably was mosquito bites getting malaria and all this
Yeah.
kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And they used mules instead of horses because if a mule got sick, he was usually dead or revived in 24 hours. A horse could linger for weeks. That's why they use mules.
Oh.
And a mule is so much smarter than a horse.
Yeah.
That's why they use mules in the Grand Canyon to go down to the bottom. Because you'll walk so close to the edge, you think you're going to go over. A horse will go over.
Interesting.
And the visions of the Ohio Canal, the canal system in Ohio, was a vision of George Washington.
Really?
Yes. And it was a complete day trip from Cleveland to Akron and on Canal Day.
A full day from Cleveland to Akron.
When you figured if you got up at Rockside Road from Lake Erie, you had 42 lots to go through. And it took probably 10 to 12 minutes to go through a lot.
So Lock 42, that's the last one up
Yep, that's at Rockside Road.
Rockside Road in Cleveland. I always thought it was kind of interesting how Akron's higher up than Cleveland. And I actually kind of joke around with people. I say, I'm going to go down to Cleveland.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you're going up to Cleveland. No, I'm going down to Cleveland. and the word Cleveland, it's take the C out and it's level land.
It's lake level.
It's literally spelled level land. Cleveland, level land. Yeah, I'm just constantly fascinated by the canal, how it works. I never knew that it was supplied by Summit Lake, and that was kind of the...
That's Summit Lake. Summit, that's the high point of Ohio. This is up right in the middle of the continental divide, the east and west, and you got the western continental divide. And this is where it was at. That's if the lake flows north to Lake Erie, and then it goes south. And the canal went through Newcomerstown and Russell Village and all down through there, and then right by to Columbus and down to Portsmouth.
Portsmouth is the last stop.
That's the Ohio River port, but it is
It's the Ohio River then.
in Portsmouth, Ohio. That's way down south. It's, we can see.
All the way at the bottom of Ohio.
Yeah.
So it runs
It runs from Cleveland, down through Akron, Bolivar, to Shotgun.
not down through Akron, up through Akron.
We're going south.
No, south, yeah. So
We're going
from
uphill.
Cleveland
We're going
up to Akron.
We're going up to Akron, and we're going down to Portsmouth.
Down to, yeah.
And see, the New York, Miami, Erie, see, was way over here. That was well over 600 miles of canal in Ohio at this time. There was, well, these three, Canal, Ohio, and this one right here, they were two canals that ended in Akron. This was a private one.
That was a private canal.
Yeah, that ended in Akron, yeah.
Okay. Was Cleveland, or I mean, Ohio, the only state that had the canal?
No, New York had.
New York had them. It's interesting.
Actually, the one in New York was first.
It's interesting that it was Ohio that they.
Well, this was the Midwest, and they was being cultivated and manipulated, industrialized during this time, and they had to get it to the East Coast before the canal. It took basically 2 months to get stuff from Cleveland to the East Coast. And it cost $110 a ton. After the canal, it was 6 to 8 days at $5 a ton.
That's why a lot of people would have been fighting against it because
A lot of wagoneers got put out of business.
put out of business. Yeah.
And then I always said the canal put itself out of it, that they was hauling rails and ties for the railroads. And they hit in the 70s and 80s and put the canal out of business. The last 30 years, the canal only holds coal up from the Thomas Company to the industry now.
When did they stop using the canal?
1913 in the flood.
1913 in the flood.
They blew up some canals to control the flooding in there.
Tell me about that flood. I don't know much about that.
Well, the rain lasted 3 days and was about 20 inches.
So it was from rain. And did it just flood? It was Akron that it flooded?
It flooded Akron, all of them around this area.
And that's what ruined the canal?
It ruined the canal. They blew up the canal, but some of the locks to control the floods.
Release the water quicker.
If you go down the canal Fulton, they have another nice little place there. They have a watermark in the station in there, high water was.
See, I've heard about that flood. I've always wondered what it. Oh, yeah, okay. You wouldn't think that. It's fascinating to me that because of a flood that ruined some of the canal.
Well, the railroad had really ruined the canal business because it was so much cheaper. They could haul tonnage back for less than $1 a ton, from one to the other, a lot faster. And then you got the industry coming in, Goodrich and Firestone and Goodyear. They were making hard rubber tires, solid rubber tires for bicycles.
Right.
And then accidentally made them vulcanized rubber. And started a new industry. But the canal was lived on the boat year-round.
The what?
The people that own the canal boats, they lived on year-round.
Oh, did they?
Yeah, it was like here, the canal, the English lived in the subsection. The crew lived up here and the captain lived back there. And then with his family.
So even through the winter, they would dock it and.
They would dock it, do the repairs. If you got a leak when you come out, you hit something and your boat started leaking, how did you repair it? You own the canal and you've got 80 tons of stuff, and you get a leak in the side of it, then you sawdust and oakum. You know what oakum is?
No.
Well, it's still used today. It's a spoon packing. So they would pack it with the oakum, and then put sawdust on it, and the sawdust that just swelled, it would
harden.
It would harden, and it would seal. And then in the wintertime, when they docked it, they would repair it completely.
Like do the actual.
So the ingenuity.
Yeah.
Getting in and out of a lot with only 6 inches of slab.
Yeah, that, like I was saying earlier, that's one of the things that fascinates me is the engineering. I mean, during that time period, that was their technology. And it was so much more advanced, I think, than people give credit for it. And where that technology and knowledge developed from is fascinating to me.
Just like Einstein. Oh, he did. He just sat around thinking,
Right.
And he figured out mathematical formulas and all this other
Yeah.
stuff. Brilliant minds. We have a few each generation.
You know, even a lot of like, I like architecture too.
Oh, yeah.
And if you really look at some of those old buildings and cathedrals, and even some of the old stuff in Akron, the architecture was more advanced than what we do today.
Now we don't have skills.
Yeah.
We don't have the fingertips to do it because it's all done by hand. We went to Williamsburg, and they was making a 12-chair dining set. And every chair looked exactly like, but each one was made by hand. I wanted to buy that sucker.
Yeah.
One chair was $2,000.
Yeah. I mean, some of the work on the side of those buildings, it looks like 3D printing.
Yeah.
It's just perfection in each one. And then even some of like the real old buildings that they've turned into like state capitol buildings. If you've ever, I've watched some
Take our DC, the Capitol.
yeah.
It's awesome.
Inside of it, the amount of marble that's used and how did this happen? How did they make each one perfect? How did they build this
I
place
just build the pyramids.
without power tools? I really feel like this. Some part of our history that we just don't know.
It was destroyed.
I do, yeah.
Because they found spark plugs that shouldn't have been.
Yeah.
And stuff that way. So I think that, if you're a Christian and know anything about the Bible,
Oh, yeah.
that the earth before this present earth, very intelligent.
Very much.
It was far advanced.
I feel much more advanced. Sometimes I even theorize that the flood in the Bible wiped everything out, and that technology was already there, and then it's been trickled back to us. And actually, some people I talk to, I'm Christian.
Me too. So feel free to talk.
And then I just theorize. Some people I've talked to, we've been talking, just theorizing, thinking out loud that the world is so satanic if you look around. And it talks about in the Bible that Satan would have a short season to run all the nations.
We're in the last days.
I feel this is theory. I feel that maybe all that old world technology was when Jesus was here. The flood happened.
No, the flood Jesus didn't come back to the flood.
We theorize that maybe some of the writing was off on that. Because it really feels like Satan's running everything right now.
He was next to Jesus in the first.
Right.
Because he tried to overthrow him. And he was banned, but he still has great power. He has the right to go in town.
Right.
And he, just like if you read about Job, you got a hedge around him, take the hedge away, he'll spit on you and everything else. But he did.
Yeah.
And it just proved the point, I have people out there to be with me. Because Satan hasn't bound to his belief, because I always said, if he won't God to have you, he don't want you either.
Right.
Because he knows what he's doing for it.
Right.
But death, I've been dead 3 times. I've been across. I talked to him. He told me I had to come back. He wasn't done with it.
Yeah.
But it's a voice you can't.
Describe in human words.
You can't.
You can't describe it in human words. Can't describe it.
You can't.
Yeah, I've talked to him. I talk to God all the time, and I don't need religion. I don't need religion. All I need is just me and God. That's all you need.
You just said what religion really is.
Right. That's all it
It's
is.
a relationship between you and Him.
That's it. I don't need a church. I don't need any. All he wants is you to pay attention to him.
But if you attend church with people of like religious beliefs, then you even grow stronger.
If it's some kind of a like-minded.
Yeah, I would want, if you're a Baptist, then you go to a Catholic church.
Yeah.
Different.
Right.
Stuff like that. If you get people to kind and believe the Bible, then when we get there, there's no going to no Baptist, no Methodist, no Presbyterian, no Catholic.
I think a lot of that's just, designed by Lucifer to muddy the waters.
Well, actually, we came over because America was founded by religious people, because they were thrown out of England.
Right.
And we set up, and we started believing our way, not like the Church of England. That's the word the Catholic Church has. Vatican City now, they have a man that's supposed to be next to God, but he's a man.
Right.
So
I don't have any heroes. I don't worship anybody. I mean, it's just God. to me. I mean,
I have a lot of good friends.
I
don't worship any of them.
I love my dad. I love my kids, but I don't worship them like I worship God. You know, but like we were saying a minute ago, like if you take the Bible literally, it tells you everything you need to know, and there's so much proof if you just kind of know how to look at it.
How many laws are in the book?
How many laws are in?
How many laws is the United States have?
I don't know.
I don't either. But they're all within the 10 Commandments.
Right. Yeah. That's all you need to know.
That's it.
It's that simple. It really is. Another one that fascinates me in the Bible is, like we were talking about, because I don't like to use the word believe. I just like to use the word I know, because I know God. I don't have to believe in Him.
If you know it,
I know Him. There's no belief is, in my opinion, used if you're not sure. I'm sure there's God.
Well, you're supposed to be sure.
Yeah, I'm so like,
be sure.
I talk about when I talk about God.
Have you seen Him?
Yeah.
You talk to Him when you say your prayer,
Yeah.
but you never seen Him.
No.
But you know He's there.
Oh yeah.
That's where your faith comes in.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's as sure as.
Is it sure as that wall you're looking at?
Yeah. I'm breathing air right now. It's that simple.
But yeah, I've seen some. I've had some a lot of close calls. Like I said, I've died 3
Yeah.
times, and He's told me
Last year.
go back. It's been over a period since 1988, and death is no pain. It's just like going to sleep,
Right.
and then you okay.
Yeah.
The first one, I was walking through this field of wheat, just ready for harvest. And the most perfect day you can imagine is better than that. And I'm thinking, wow. And his voice says, you have to go back. I said, oh. He says, yes, you have to go back. And I woke up. It took me about 4 hours to figure out where I was at and what I was doing.
Well, you only just died.
It's just amazing.
Yeah.
And then the last time, I just got done with surgery. Got up, got dressed, and then my nurse walked up and down the hallways. And she said, you think you can use the bathroom? I said, sure. So I walked in there, and as I turned to sit down on the toilet, I could feel it coming, but I can't stop. I get so calm. It's unbelievable. The top of my head starts. And I reached over and grabbed me. She stuck. I said, I'm dying. And I go. And I'm walking down an old country lane road with split reference to the on the right of it. Beautiful day. And I come to this hole in this fence. And on that side is pitch black. And I have such an urge to go through that hole. Just as I start through that voice says, you know, you have to go back. I says, no. He says, yes, you have to go back. I said, well, how will I let them know that I'm alive? He said, open your eyes. It's always something, always open.
Yeah. That's the same thing that goes on for me. And I kind of sometimes, how did that happen? How did I?
It's me.
And the more older I get, and the more closer to God I get, well, it's just Him. It's just Him doing it.
Yeah.
He's helping you. That's all it is. It's just helping you. And I think He takes care of people who are close to Him and not sucked into a lot of the other things. Just
He takes care of His own.
Just right there. I always say it's just right here. It's like if we're right here, that's how I feel on a constant basis. It's awesome. It's awesome.
Wow, how did that happen?
And you start to learn His sense of humor a little bit. And
He has great sense of humor.
like if you personify Him, give Him a human personality, He's really cool. Like, he's funny. It's just
But He's also the God that is coming back. And this time He's not coming back as a babe. He's coming back as a king, and He is going to judge every one of us. And He's already told you that.
Mm-hmm.
When I come back, I'm bringing my kingdom with me. And if you enter in, you'll be there forever.
I feel like that doesn't scare me. I haven't been perfect, and I feel like in that moment, just be honest. Just be honest. He already knows, but but it's like anything. It's like, I already know, like my kids, I already know what you did. I want you to be honest.
Yes.
Own it. It's okay. I actually won't be mad at you if you just tell me that. So you're admitting we're human. We're not flawless. So
Yeah, Paul says I die daily to sin. He says, I have to pray and ask forgiveness every day. David was a man after God's own heart. He said, restore to me the glory of your salvation. Not mine, but it is yours.
Yeah.
So if he can have mistakes in his life, we can too.
Yeah.
As long as we ask forgiveness. If we don't, we do it over and over and over and over and over.
I think that's when it's, you're abusing free will at that point, I think.
Free will?
Yeah.
Every one of us has it.
Yeah.
It's up to you to accept or reject anything he asks. So.
Right. He has a few rules for us,
The Ten Commandments.
but he also says you can break them. I'm not going to control.
You don't have to accept me.
Right. And that's the beauty of it.
That's your free will.
So you're not imprisoned. You have to. And that's the beauty of it.
That's why he did that, because he didn't want robots.
Right. Just because to know that you can disagree with it is so powerful. You don't want to. It's brilliant, really. But I mean, people do abuse their free will, and in my mind, I just pray for them.
I am a free will Baptist.
Are you?
Yeah. That's the name of the church.
Okay. Free will is interesting to me because I think of it on a spiritual level and a human level, and our bodies are just a vessel for our soul. Like, we're a soul with a body, not a body with a soul. And our soul is what wants this human experience, maybe not for lessons, but for knowledge. And I don't think the soul has control over the free will. It's the human part of us that has that control. So the soul is almost along for the ride.
It has your body as its home. It's its home until it's fire and go.
And the soul is just taking in the experience. Kind of right on the ride with what the human brain is doing. It's just an interesting.
But we can't control it. And we're always thinking.
Right. Yeah.
And you might be so. I can go 10 minutes without thinking. I can't. You can't go a few seconds without.
Right.
So, yeah.
There was an interesting experiment I saw.
We're closing.
Well, in a few minutes, we're going to put something in.
Okay.
I'll get out of here.
He's supposed to tell us.
Yeah, there was an interesting experiment I saw that there's actually some people that don't have an inner dialogue. They did an experiment where, think of an apple. All right, now think about picking up that apple. Think about taking a bite out of that apple. Think about throwing it out. Can you do that? Okay, some people can't. All they can do is imagine the apple, but beyond that, they can't. I can't think. They can't put that together. So I think that's where
I'd say I'm almost at keys mechanically. I can visualize.
Yeah.
And do it.
Wait, there's people out there that can't, and it's interesting when you think about demonic possessions and stuff. Is that just?
Well, they're there.
Yeah.
It's real. But we can only try. We're not going to be represented.
Yeah.
We try not to sin, so keep him in our visual.
And just admit to him when you have.
You have
Humbleness.
I let him have control.
Yeah. Humbleness and always keeping the ego at bay, because ego blocks
Takes the ego away.
learning.
He takes the
If you think you know everything already, you stop learning. So ego is the biggest. I think Lucifer is one of his best weapons. Is
Lucifer, not his weapon.
perception is Lucifer's weapon. That's all he's got, because he can't do anything. That's all he's got. Just control over people. He can manipulate people's perception of stuff.
He only teaches. He only can do what you allow.
Yeah, he can't create like God.
No. Well, the engineers went to heaven to talk about God. Thought, we don't need to know. We can make our own man. He said, you can. He said, yeah. He says, do it. He reached down to get dirt. He says, get your own dirt.
That's good. That's good. Nice talking to you. So, I've noticed a lot of amped up satanic activity recently. And I don't know, I just needed to talk about it for a second, see if this resonates with anybody. I'm not one to push fear. I never have. But I really feel like right now, specifically now, and I kind of mean like immediately, make sure your relationship with God is good, and help others have that relationship with God. You don't need church. You don't need a religion. You don't need anything other than just a very simple relationship with God. I feel that there's a lot of satanic rituals going on in the world. With the Olympics coming in to play, every year, well, every 4 years, the Olympics are, the opening ceremonies are designed to be rituals, and also predictions, what they tell us what they're gonna do in the future. Like the 2012 London Olympics ceremonies was the whole story of the recent flat earth-wide fake event that happened in 2020. So they tell us years in advance. So, this current Olympics, the ceremonies so far are mocking God and very satanic, and there's a lot of other satanic rituals going on in the world all over the place. Sheeps and devils in sheep's clothing, like Taylor Swift. She's just, having masses of people do satanic rituals with her. And that conjures up, the demons. It opens up portals for them to come through. And I don't know, the last couple days, I've just really felt the Luciferian agenda really amping up. And I just felt like I wanted to share that sensation and feeling that I've gotten, that I just want everybody to have the relationship with God. He's there for you. It's so simple. It's so simple. He loves you unconditionally. So there's no judgment. There really isn't. He's actually a really cool dude once you get to know him. He's funny. He has a few rules for us here, but he gives us free will to decide if we want to follow those rules. So it's not about controlling us. But if you can help anybody find God, let them know how simple it is. A lot of people are tricked by Luciferian ways and groups that God is a cult, religion is a cult. And here's my thing on that. They're half right in the sense that all of the main religions have been hijacked and turned into kind of a culty atmosphere. It would at least appear that way to people. I get where they get that. So that's comes back to my point. You don't need religion, and if you want to help anybody find God, you don't need to be any kind of religion. You don't need to subscribe to any of it. You literally only need to know He's there. You don't have to believe. Just know. Belief is for weakness. Just know He's there. And anybody who sees this, help others, introduce others to God in that way. Nice and simple. And give that to our Creator, our God. He wants everybody to have that. I love you guys. God bless you. God bless you.